जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ, जय गिरिवराधारी, जय गिरिवराधारी, जय यशोदनन्दना, जय ब्रजनरञ्जना, जय यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुञ्ज बिहारी, जय यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुञ्ज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव, जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम बलराम, जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Deva Jaya Guru Deva, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादां सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatrupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramanandam Madhavam Chaitanya Jagadeshwaram Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismrite Vipareetam Syashi Chaitanya Namamitam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestha Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Govinda. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we are in the second canto, chapter 6, and till last week we have covered 5 verses. From today we'll be going through till last week you have covered till 7 verses. Today we'll be seeing from 8 to 16 verses. Just a recap what has been discussed so far. So before getting into the this 6th chapter of second canto, let's see what happened in the 5th canto. 5th chapter. So 5th chapter entitled "The Cause of All Causes." So, is my audio is clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
There's some noise here. Just I will close the window once. Sorry. Okay. In the 5th chapter, so Narad Muni asking several questions to Lord Brahma. So we know Narad Muni's father is Brahma. So Narad Muni was thinking Brahma is the supreme controller. He is the one who creates everything. So he asked 6 questions, namely about the universes, and Brahmaji clarifies that. So what are the 6 questions the Narad Muni asks? He asks what are the symptoms of universe, and what is its shelter, and how it is created, means how the material world is created, and how it is conserved, means in other words how it is maintained, and what it depends on, and what it is composed of. So Brahmaji answers all these questions, and also he asks, Narad Muni asks, okay, why do you perform tapa? Is someone is more powerful than you? Normally all children, they think, their father is the most powerful person on the earth, right? Similarly, this Narad Muni is thinking Brahmaji is the ultimate cause of everything. So he is thinking, Brahma is the creator, he is the supreme controller. So Brahmaji clarifies all his doubts, and he says, no, I'm the subordinate to Lord Krishna. So I only recreate what has been already created by the Lord himself. So whatever the Lord creates, that is called as Sarga. And then whatever Brahma creates, which is a secondary creation, it is called as Visarga. So then Brahmaji clarifies. Then Brahma answers few questions in this chapter. And also he also narrates about what is the difference between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. And so then finally he describes Virat Rupa. So that has been what has been discussed in the chapter 6, so chapter 5. So in chapter 6, again from this chapter 6 entitled the Purusha Sukta Confirmed. So why this is called as Purusha Sukta Confirmed? So Prabhupada writes, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes towards the end of the purport, he writes, the Purusha Sukta, we all heard Purusha Sukta, right? This is a common Vedic hymn chanted by all the priests. You do, right from starting, Nitya Devata Puja, meaning daily deity worship, right up to the big sacrifice. So this Purusha Sukta is chanted. So this Purusha Sukta uh, is a part of Rig Veda, and also it is found in Yajurveda. So it is recited in several Vedic rituals and ceremonies. Practically all the rituals, ceremonies, this Purusha Sukta is mm, recited. It is often used during the worship of or installation of the deity of Vishnu or Narayana temples, in fire sacrifices, fire ceremonies, during the recitation of Sanskrit literature for one's own meditation. This Purusha Sukta is chanted. So Srila Prabhupada writes uh, in this section, towards the end of this chapter, he says why this chapter is entitled as Purusha Sukta Confirmed. So Srila Prabhupada titles the sixth chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as Purusha Sukta Confirmed, because the verses of this chapter are similar to the verses of Purusha Sukta. So as we go through this end of the chapter, we can compare uh, both the Purusha Sukta prayers, which is in the Rig Veda and also Yajurveda, and also the Purusha Sukta from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can do the comparative study between these two, so that we will do at the end of the chapter. So then, furthermore, the Bhagavatam confirms the Purusha mentioned in the Purusha Sukta is Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. That is why it is significant. Furthermore, it proves the authenticity of Bhagavatam, generally known as Smriti Shastra, as it collates the references from Shruti text. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, in his commentary on this chapter, has highlighted the similarity of these verses. Okay, so this we will do at the end of the chapter. So this is why this chapter is entitled Purusha Sukta Confirmed. So from the text 1 to 17, so it described about, now Narad Muni has asked one more question, right? What is the universe is composed of? In the previous chapter, he has asked this question. So the Brahmaji is answering Narad Muni's questions in this chapter. Okay, then the text 1 to 17, it talks about Lord's subtle sense organs, Tanmatra, then elements, Lord's grass, sense organs, and sense devata, and Lord's subtle sense organs of Virata Rupa plus Jiva. This has been described in this chapter. Then again, verses 18 to 20, it talks about spiritual world against material world. Then text 21 to 22, it talks about Lord is the shelter of the paths of knowledge and enjoyment. He is aloof from the material world. So then finally text 22 to 30, Brahma collects ingredient for the sacrifices from the Lord limbs. Then 31 to 33, by the Lord's Narayana's empowerment, Brahma creates. Then text 34, it talks about the Lord's action, then words and thoughts, about this is discussed. And finally, verses 35 to 38, then instead of Brahma creating all these things, Brahma cannot understand the power of the Virat Rupa or the Supreme Lord. Then he prays to the Lord. So that's how this chapter ends. Okay. So we will start from text 8 today. Okay. Apam virasya sargasya पर्जन्यस्य प्रजापते पुंसा शिष्णौ उपातस्तु प्रज्यति आनन्दनिवृतेः.
From the Lord's genitals originate water, semen, generatives, rains, and the procreators. His genitals are the cause of a pleasure that counteracts the distress of begetting. The genitals and the pleasure of begetting counteract the distress of family encumbrances. One should cease to generate altogether if they were not, by the grace of the Lord, a coating, a pleasure giving substance on the surface of the generative organs. This substance gives a pleasure so intense that it counteracts fully the distress of family encumbrances. A person is so captivated by this pleasure giving substance that he is not satisfied by begetting a single child, but increases the number of children with great risk in regard to maintaining them, simply for this pleasure giving substance. This pleasure giving substance is not false, however, because it originates from the transcendental body of the Lord. However, it originates from the transcendental body of the Lord. In other words, the pleasure giving substance is a reality, but it has taken on an aspect of pervertedness on account of material contamination. In the material world, sex life is the cause of many distresses on account of material contact. Therefore, the sex life in the material world should not be encouraged beyond the necessity. There is a necessity for generating progeny even in the material world, but such generation of children must be carried out with full responsibility for spiritual values. The spiritual values of the life can be realized in the human form of material existence, and the human being must adopt family planning with reference to the context of spiritual values and not otherwise. The degraded form of the family restriction by use of contraceptives, etc., is the grossest type of material contamination. Materialists who use these devices want to fully utilize the pleasure potency of the coating on the genitals by artificial means without knowing the spiritual importance and without knowledge of spiritual values. The less intelligent man tries to utilize only the material sense pleasure of the genitals. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So here in this text, Prabhu, can you go a little ahead? Can you go a little above the translation? Yeah. So from the Lord's genital originate water, semen, and generative rain and procreations. His genitals are the cause of pleasure that counteracts the distress of begetting. So, in other words, whatever is created, there is nothing which exists without in relationship with Krishna. Whatever is there, everything has a relationship. The moment if we uh, see, Krishna, we don't see Krishna's hand in this creation, then we should understand we are in Maya. So in the Purusha in the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, so the Brahmaji himself confirms this. I mean, Lord tells to Brahmaji, he says, Rutertam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyadatmano mayam yatha baso yatha tamaha, which he says, if we see, uh, if we think there is nothing, if we don't see Krishna's hand in anything, then it is understood we are in Maya, because there is nothing can exist without Krishna. So we should have chakshu, we have an eye, so that we can relate Krishna in all the aspects. So that's the reason Krishna emphasizes this fact right from Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about having this Gnana Chakshusha in chapter 13. And also he talks about in chapter 14 and also in 15th chapter. So Pashyanti Gnana Chakshusha. One who is blind, one who doesn't have a um, spiritual vision, we cannot see. Whereas a person with a spiritual vision, he can see the Krishna everywhere. Not only that, even Arjuna was also bewildered. Krishna, how can I remember you? So then Krishna, he gives a brief, uh, biodata of his, how he can be remembered in all the circumstances. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he gives his, how can we remember him? So because Arjuna asked him, Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. Krishna, how can I remember you in all the circumstances? Then he gives a list of all his vibhuti. He says, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Shayastitaha Aham Aditya Devanam. Like that, he keeps, I'm that, I'm this, everything. I'm the sun, I'm the moon. Then I'm the prowess among the men. Like that, he gives all his description. And so that we can remember. So it's very easy to remember Krishna because every day, the sun rises. The moment we step out of the house, then we can see the sun, right? Immediately we can think of Krishna, because in 7th chapter, Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi shashi surya yoho. He says, I'm the, prabhasmi shashi surya yo. He is the rays of Surya and Chandra. So then, we drink water, right? So in all aspects, we can think of Krishna. So, and Krishna made our life very easy. So that we can remember him. Okay, now in this part of the world, the temperature is soaring day by day. So then what can we remember? Instead of complaining, AC is not working and temperature is so hot. Remember shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, wherein Krishna says, Tapamyaham aham varsham nigranami utsrujami cha. He says, I'm the heat. So I'm the rain. I send the rain. Lord says. So in this way, we can remember Krishna everywhere. So in this particular verse, it talked about the genitals. So these are all, it's originated from Virata Rupa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, normally this sex life is considered as abominable as per the Shastras. So because when the semen is seduced, it reduces the pages of the brain. So that's the reason if you see the yogis, they rise up their semen up to the brain level. So they are very sharp and they are very effulgent. So that's that's the brahmacharya. It's recommended in the shastras. But at the same time, the it can be used. Dharmo viruddha bhuteshu kamosme bharatarshaba. Lord says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, but yeah, even we can indulge in sex, but only with the permission of the Lord. So that's the reason we undergo a Vedic marriage. So, it's a marriage. It is approved by the seniors and it has performed in front of the priest and the fire. So even this can be used in the service of the Lord. The purpose of having marriage and having sex is to beget Krishna conscious children. So if we don't use this and if we use it for sense gratification, then it's unnecessarily we are wasting our time and also we are incurring sins. This has been elaborately described in Nectar of Instruction in the verse Vacho Vega Manasakroda Vega. So that is what is described here in this text. So move on to text 9. Okay. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshaya narada himsaya nivrutter mrityor nirayasya gudam smrataha.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O Narada, the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord is the abode of the controlling deity of death. Mitra and the evacuating hole and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, etc. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, so there is no purport to this verse. Even he's explaining, Brahmaji is explaining the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord is the abode of controlling deity of depth, which is Mitra. So, and means like he's a Yama. So the evacuating hole and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, and death and hell. So even these things are also part of Virata Purusha. So as we mentioned in the beginning of the class, there is nothing exists without Krishna. Everything has got relationship with Krishna. Even these things also, envy, misfortune, death, hell also, it emanates from the Lord, but it is on the from the rear end of the Lord's body. So we move to text 10.
Prabhu, this Mitra means Yamraj.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Of course, he's also called as Mitra, who even other name for sun god is also Mitra. But here it is Mitra is Yamaraj. Yamasya Mitrasya. Okay. We move on to text 10. Parabhuter adharmasya tamasaschapi paschimah nadyo nadha nadinam cha gotranamasti samhatihi.
I'll read Prabhuji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The back of the Lord is the place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immorality. From his veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on his bones are stacked the great mountains. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In order to defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a systematic analysis of the psychological and anatomical constitution of his transcendental body is given here. It is clear from the available description of the body of the Lord, his universal form, that the form of the Lord is distinct from the form of ordinary mundane conception. In any case, he is never a formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord, and therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of men is also not separate from his bodily conception. Since his body is the complete whole of everything that be, one cannot assert that he is impersonal only. On the contrary, the perfect description of the Lord holds that he is both impersonal and personal simultaneously. The personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Lord, and his impersonal emanation is but the reflection of his transcendental body. Those who are fortunate enough to have a view of the Lord from the front can realize his personal features, whereas those who are frustrated and are thus kept on the ignorance side of the Lord, or in other words, those who have the view of the Lord from the back, realize him in his impersonal feature. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Prabhupada takes every opportunity to defeat Mayavada philosophy. Mayavada philosophy means they consider Lord to be impersonal. He doesn't have any form. Okay, but all from all these verses, Srila Prabhupada make a point. He, you know, he defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then, in this verse also, it talked about the back of the Lord is the place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as immortality. From his veins flows great rivers and rivulets, and his bones are stacked the great mountains. So whenever we see all these things, no, then immediately we can think of Krishna. Suppose when you see the mountain, you can immediately think of, remembering the Virata Rupas form as the bones of Virat Rupa. So in this way, we can remember Krishna. And also here, Prabhupada, the whole purport, he is written about this impersonalism. Impersonalism, they say Krishna doesn't have any form, is Nirakar. But with all these, references, Srila Prabhupada says, no, Krishna is a person. So this is what is described here. So then here in this text, veins are great rivers and rivulets. The bones are the mountains. Okay, then the belly of the Virat Rupa is the ocean, the juice in the food, and pradhana and destruction, all the lays in the body, in the abdomen of the Lord. And yeah, so that is there. So we are moved to text 11. Avyakta rasa sindhunam bhutanam nidanasya cha udaram viditam pumso hrudayam manasapadam.
The impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of the great oceans, and his belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus, it is known by the intelligent class of men. In Bhagavad Gita 8.17 and 18, it is stated that according to human calculations, one day of Brahma is equal to 1000 ages of 4 millenniums, 443 lakhs years each, and the same period is calculated to be his night also. A Brahma lives for 100 such years and then dies. A Brahma who is generally a great devotee of the Lord attains liberation after such a downfall. The universal called the Brahmanand, or the round football-like domain controlled by a Brahma, is thus annihilated, and thus the inhabitants of a particular planet or of the whole universe are also annihilated. Avyakta, mentioned here in the verse, means the night of Brahma, when partial annihilation takes place and the living entities of that particular Brahmanan up to the planets of Brahmalok, along with the big oceans, all repose in the belly of the Virat Purush. At the end of the Brahma's night, the creation again takes place, and the living entities reserved within the belly of the Lord are let loose to play their respective parts, and as if being awakened from a deep slumber. Since the living entities are never destroyed, the annihilation of the material world does not annihilate the existence of the living entities. But until liberation is attained, one has to accept one material body or after another again and again. The human life is meant for making a solution of this repeated change of bodies and thereby attaining a place in the spiritual sky where everything is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. In other words, the subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being, and such forms take tangible shape at the time of creation. Hare Krishna.
So here, what is mentioned is the heart of the Virata Rupa is the mind. Lord's organ is heart, which is the resting place for all the materially annihilated living entities. Okay, so then Prabhupada here, he talks about all the creations. Okay, then he talks about the duration of Brahma's life. Brahma lives for 4,300,000 years, which is 1 day of Brahma. Same period is the night. So like that, he lives for 100 years. So then Brahma attains the, after hundreds of such years, he will attain the, he will go back to, he will get the liberation, means he will go back to his original abode. So then, but what about the living entities which are not got the liberation? So then at the end of annihilation, all these living entities which has not got the liberation, they will go to the belly of the Virat Rupa. So then again, when the next day creation happens, in the very next day of Brahma's, again the life, the universe is created. Again, all this, all the living entities are put back into the action, as if we were in a deep sleep. Then you get up and fresh you can start the activities. So this is happening. So that's the reason Shankaracharya also says, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. This we are doing from life after life after life after life. So we don't remember, how many lives we have taken. What we do, we enter into the womb of a mother, then he come out, then again we re-enter it. So this is all happening. So now this is a good opportunity, having born in the human life of human life. So we should stop this repeated birth and death by taking to the Krishna consciousness. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. So then again coming back to this annihilation. So annihilation, how it happens? For example, just a crude example, like the Matajis, they cook every day, right? So they keep everything in the refrigerator, all the vegetables, all of the ingredients they keep in the fridge. So they take out and they prepare the boga. So then after the end of the day, they put back all these things in the refrigerator. This is something we can rough and crudely remember about how this annihilation takes place and how the living entities are entering Lord's womb. Okay. So next we move on to text 12. Dharmasya nama tubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha vignanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam.
Hare Krishna.
Translation.
Go ahead, Uday.
No, you read, Rao.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Also, the consciousness of that great personality is the abode of religious principles, mine, yours, and those of the four bachelors, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, and Sanandana. That consciousness is also the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
So here it's straightforward. Consciousness is dharma of everyone. Truth, knowledge, these are all the consciousness of Virata Rupa. Here Brahmaji is giving the example of himself, that is mind. He's telling minds. Then yuvas means he is addressing Narada. Then those of four bachelors means they are the brothers of Narad Muni, sons of Brahmaji, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanat Kumaras. So, and all living entities, the consciousness, the dharma of everyone is the consciousness of the transcendental. No, the consciousness is the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. So now we move on to text 13 to 16. Aham bhavan bhavamschaiva taime munayo grajaha surasura nara nagha kagha mruga saraspraham gandharvapsaro gandharva apsaros swayaksham raksho bhuta gano ragaha Ashava Pitara Siddha Vidyadharascharanadrumai Anye cha Vividha Jiva Jalasthala Nabhakasau Graharksha Ketavastaras Taditha Sanai Yadvanaham Sarvam Purushaye Vedam Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavachayat Tenedam Avratam Vishwam Vitastim Aditistati.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you? Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada Ji, Jai Sri Prabhupada. Beginning from me, Brahma, down to you and Bhava, Shiva, all the great sages who were here before you, the demigods, the demons, the nagas, the human beings, the birds and the beasts, as well as the reptiles, etc., and all phenomenal manifestations of the universes, namely the planets, stars, asteroids, luminaries, lightning, thunder, and the inhabitants of the different planetary systems, namely the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutaganas, Uragas, Pashus, Pitas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and all other different varieties of living entities, including the birds, beasts, trees, and everything that we are all covered by the universal form of the Lord at all times, namely past, present, and future. Although he is transcendental to all of them, eternally existing in a form not exceeding 9 inches. Hare Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his partial representation, measuring not more than 9 inches as super soul, expands his potency in the shape of the universal form, which includes everything manifested in different varieties of organic and inorganic materials. The manifested varieties of the universe are therefore not different from the Lord, just as golden ornaments of different shapes and forms are non-different from the original stock reserve of gold. In other words, the Lord is the supreme person who controls everything within the creation, and still he remains the supreme separate identity, distinct from all manifested material creation. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.4 and 5, he is therefore said to be Yogeshwara. Everything rests on the potency of Lord Sri Krishna, and still the Lord is different from and transcendental to all such identities. In the Vedic Purusha Sukta of the Rig mantra, this is also confirmed. This philosophical truth of simultaneous oneness and difference was propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is known as Achint Bheda Bhed Tattva. Brahma, Narad, and all others are simultaneously in quality with the stock of gold, but the individual gold ornament is never equal in quantity and the quantity with the stock gold. The stock gold is never exhausted, even if there are innumerable ornaments emanating from the stock, because the stock is Purnam, complete. Even if Purnam is deducted from the Purnam, still the supreme Purnam remains the same Purnam. This fact is inconceivable to our present imperfect senses. Lord Chaitanya therefore defined his theory of philosophy as achintya, unconceivable, and as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita as well as in the Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya's theory of achintya bheda bhed tattva is the perfect philosophy of the absolute truth. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji. So in this text 13 to 16, so the Lord Brahma is telling, I, that is Brahma, Shiva, and all other living entities, and whatever existed in the past, present, and future is covered by the universal form of the Lord. Although the Lord is transcendent to all of them, he extends beyond the universe by the 10 fingers. So this is what Lord is telling here. I mean, Brahma is telling here. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the universal form. So it's about like 9 inches of the super soul. He expands by his potency in the shape of universal forms, and which includes everything manifested and unmanifested. So in the Ishopanishad, in the first mantra, it talks about Om Purnamadha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamadachyate. The Lord is perfect and is complete. And because he is completely perfect, all the emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, is also complete. Because he is complete, and anything is produced of the complete is also remain as complete whole. So, oftentimes this, other Mayavadis. Sorry. Sorry, Professor Mataji. Construction work is going on. Okay. Okay. So the Lord is perfect and complete. So like other example they gives is like one candle. There is a original one calendar, one candle. Then with that calendar, all other calendars have been lit. So it doesn't mean that when the first candle is lit, it become weak. No, nothing like that. So it remains its potency. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then also in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, okay. So then he gives the other example. Like, we are also, the living entities are also the part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this can be substantiated, from the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. The Lord says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtinam matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. It says, the Lord is, though he's the cause of everything, but he doesn't intervene in that. He is aloof from that. Just as the lotus leaf in the water. So when it is dipped in the water, it looks like, it is wet. But the moment it comes out, so it is completely dry. It's called as Padma Patra Vimambasa. Like that, Lord is not at all, he is not entangled in this material world, though it is his creation, but he is aloof from it. So in the next verse, he talks about Yogeshwara. He is a Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara means he can do anything, he is the master of all mystics. So This is confirmed, and in Rigveda Purusha Sukta mantra also, as I mentioned in the beginning. So after at the end of the class, at the end of the chapter, we can compare Vedic Rigveda mantras as well as Srimad Bhagavatam mantras, which is almost similar. Then Prabhupada further talks about philosophy of Achintya Beda Abheda, simultaneously one and different. So how is that possible? Simultaneously one and different. So we are simultaneously one. How? So we are eternal. The Lord is also eternal. Then how we are different? So we are different in the sense in terms of quantity. Quality wise, we are same. The Prabhupada oftentimes give the example, a drop of water and the water in the ocean. If you take one drop of water and if you do the chemical analysis, it remains same between the ocean water as well as the drop of ocean water. But yet there is a difference in the quantity. The drop is only minute, but the ocean water is infinite. Similarly, other example can be talked about is the gold and gold mine. So we all have some amount of gold with us, right? Some chains, some ornaments. But again, the amount of gold possessed in the gold mine is incomparable with our small, tiny jewelry. So in that way, it is simultaneously one and also we are different. This is the philosophy given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is what the syllabus for today. Of course, it's a bit technical chapter. If you allow me to share, I have one presentation for this, which I can share. Well, Prabhu, can I share my presentation?
Yes, Prabhu, please, yes.
Okay, then I will stop this. Yeah, can you see my screen, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is just summary of what we have discussed here. Okay, this is a recap what we have from the last chapter. So Narada's questions and conviction and doubts, then Brahma's clarifications and Narada's false conviction. Then verse 14 to 16, it's Brahma answers Narada's questions 1, 2, and 5. Then text, this we already spoke. Then this is an overview of 6th chapter. So now we have covered the up to verse number 1 to 7, which answers Narada's questions yetcha. What are the Lord as the material cause of all universe? Then in the next section, we are going to see Lord's Ekapada Vibhuti versus Tripada Vibhuti. Then next 22 to 30 answers to 6th question, that is Brahma's testimony that the Lord is the material cause. Then text 31 to 33, it answers question 2 and question 5, which is Yadasthanam and Yatparam. And the last section, that is verse 34 to 38, it talks about it is not possible to completely know the Supreme Lord. This is Brahma is telling to Narad Muni. So the first 17 verse what we discussed today is Lord's subtle sense organs, tanmatra elements, Lord's gross senses, and sense devata, then plus subtle sense organs of Virata Rupa and Jiva. This we have discussed. Then this is the next verse 18 to 20 talks about spiritual world against material world. Then, when you see the Ekapada Vibhuti and Tripada Vibhuti, we can have this discussion, which will be done next week. Then this is the text 21 to 22. Lord is the shelter of path of knowledge and enjoyment. He is aloof from the material world. So then 22 to 30, Brahma collects ingredients for the sacrifice from the Lord's limbs. Then 31 to 33, by the Lord Narayana's empowerment, Brahma creates. Then text 34, my words and thoughts and actions, words, thoughts are never go vain. So then text 35 to 38, I cannot understand the Lord. So still let's glorify him. So then text 39, it talks about conservation or how the dissolution of this material world happens. Then verse 40 to 42, so it talks about knowing the Lord. Then 43 to 45, none of the material things are Lord's Swarupa. So then this, why Srila Prabhupada mentioned this, given this chapter as Purusha Sukta confirmed. So here he says, the Purusha Sukta, which is most commonly used in Vedic hymns, it is important part of Rig Veda. It is recited in several Vedic rituals and ceremonies. It is often used during the deity installation or worship in fire ceremonies. It is also found in Yajurveda. So Srila Prabhupada titles the 6th chapter of 2nd Canto Purusha Sukta confirmed because the verses of this chapter are similar to the verses of Purusha Sukta. Furthermore, Bhagavatam confirms the Purusha Sukta mentioned in Purusha Sukta is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. That is why it is very significant. So, like, this is a comparison. So, anyway, like the original Vedic text, it talks about Om Sahasra Shisha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabomim Vishvato Vrutva Atyatista Dashangulam. This is the first prayer in Vedic Purusha Sukta, whereas in Srimad Bhagavatam, it states Sa eva Purushas Tasmad Andham Nirbidya Nigrataha Sahasrovangri Bhavakshaha Sahasranta Shiranvatam. So like that, we can draw a comparison. That Purusha pierced the universe and went outside. There he resides with 1,000 legs, feet, eyes, faces, and heads. The same thing what we have seen in the Purusha Sukta prayer. Om Sahasra Shisha Purusha is having 1,000 heads, like that. So this is again other comparison of the other verses. Okay. So this is about a short about this, and also I have one more presentation which talked about how the material creation happens, which gives slight glimpse of what we discussed today. I will share another PPT. So this is, of course, okay. This also covers the future cantos, how this material creation happens. Okay, this is about the fundamental principles of material nature. Okay, and maybe we will take today's section only. So today we talked about the Purusha Sukta, right? The supreme soul, Purusha, he has no beginning, He is transcendental to the material modes of nature and beyond the existence of this material world, and he is perceivable everywhere because he is a self-effulgent, and by his self-effulgent luster, the entire creation is maintained. Okay, so then we know this difference also. What is Purusha and what is Prakriti? Prakriti is materials principle, Purusha is spiritual principle. Prakriti is substance, whereas Purusha is spirit. Prakriti is manifestation, but Purusha is the cause for that manifestation. Prakriti is divine without, but Purusha is divine within. So then we also know the difference between Pradhana and Prakriti and also Mahatattva. Okay, then Pradhana. Okay, what is Pradhana? Pradhana is aggregate element, namely 5 gross elements, 5 set elements, and 4 internal senses, and 5 senses for the gathering knowledge, and 5 outward organs of action are known as Pradhana. The sum total of 24 elements is called as Pradhana. Then these are the 24 elements, 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, 5 subtle elements, smell, taste, color, touch, sound. Then the senses for acquiring knowledge and organs for action, which are 10. The auditory sense, the sense of taste, the tactile sense, the sense of sight, and the sense of smell, and active organs for speaking, active organs for working and for traveling and generating, evacuating. In other words, like eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and genitals. These are the 5 knowledge acquiring organs. And other 5 senses are like speech, then legs, hands, and these are the all together it become 20. Then other 4 internal substances what? Mind, intelligence, pons, ego, and contaminated senses. All this, and the mixing element is the time. So this is how the creation takes place, and this time is calculated as the 25th element. Okay, then when this Vishnu glances over Prakriti, then the material creation happens. Okay, then Mahatattva produces. Okay, so Mahatattva is what? Material ego. When Mahatattva comes in contact with material ego, then comes goodness, passion, and ignorance. Of course, this all come in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, but today's with relations to Virat Rupa, just I have one slide here. I will try to share that.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
one question. So
Yeah.
Mahatattva, when he comes into contact with material ego and something else, right? Because of which goodness, passion, and ignorance is born. Because what is the differentiation factor between the contact of Mahatattva and material ego by which these 3 varieties are produced?
One minute. When Mahatattva comes in contact with material ego, okay, then goodness, passions, and ignorance comes. These 3 modes of material nature come into existence. Okay, similarly, okay, this is, this verse is, okay, this, okay, then when the goodness comes with, the goodness is what? The mind whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Then similarly, passion. So passion controls the intelligence. The functions of intelligence are doubt, misapprehension, and correct apprehension, memory, and sleep. Then the passion, when it comes in contact with Gnanendriyas, the senses for knowledge acquiring senses, Then passion with karmendriya, the sense of action, depends on the vital energy. Yeah, this is elaborated in the third canto when Lord Kapila is explaining this material creation to Mother Devahuti, which is Sankhya Yoga. That will come there, Prabhu. Okay, so
I'll
now,
discuss with you separately, Prabhu.
yeah. Okay, then finally today's Virat Rupa thing I'll share. Okay, now this one, just you can understand how this ingredient for creation, which Brahma is also going to talk here in the later part of the chapter. So the demigods, directional movement and mind, false ego with goodness, when it come in contact Mahatattva, then see first ether produces. So from ether means what? Akasha. In Akasha, the sound can travel there. Okay. Then the next element created is air. So air is what? It creates a sound. Also, you will feel like when we are hot, when the cold breeze, it comes, we feel happy, right? Or hot breeze comes, we feel it. Okay. So then third, in ether, it is only one element, which is sound. Then in air, you have sound as well as touch. Then the third element created is fire. Fire is what? It is a sound, it makes sound, and also it gives touch. Touch in the sense it gives the sense of heatness, and also it has got a form. We can see the fire. Then fourth one is water, which is sound, touch, form, and also it gives taste, right? When we drink water, we can feel the taste. Then the last element created is earth. Earth, which consists of all five: sound, touch, form, taste, and odor. Okay, this is how this material creation takes place. Okay, now when all these elements are unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of creation, along with the time, work, and qualities of the modes of material nature, entered into the universe with total material energy in 7 divisions. Okay, so we have seen in the first section now, it's mentioned as 7 dharmas. That is, okay, so these are the 7 coverings. Okay, which is universal egg, earth, water, air, fire. And it's mentioned, each layer is 10 times bigger than others. Okay. So this is the 7 elements. Then the Virata Purusha is inside. Okay. Then whose body is a 14 planetary system, or which is lying on the water and is divided into many departments. So now this is what we are discussing, what Brahmaji is discussing in this chapter, like mouth, organ of speech is fire god, pair of nostril appeared, the olfactory senses, blah, blah, blah. Then today also we talked about the anus and the organs of the defection, the god of death, Yama, who is paired throughout the universe. He has got 2 hands, power for grasping and dropping things. Lord Indra appeared, legs, Lord Vishnu appeared, the veins, the red corpuscles of blood, rivers, and deities of the preceding over the veins, abdomen, feeling hunger, thirst. Then today we talked about heart, mind, then moon, intelligence, Lord Brahma, all this. Then false ego, Shiva, the consciousness of the deity, is presiding over consciousness. And when the demigods and presiding deities of the various senses, they all wanted to wake up the original appearance. But upon failing to do so, they re-entered the body of the Virata Rupa, one after the other, in order to wake him up. But instead of that, the Virat Purusha is refused to be awakened when the gods of fire entered his mouth with organ of speech, when the god of wind entered the nostril with the sense of smell, the god entered the eye Virata Purusha. Sorry. Okay, but finally the Lord could able to enter only when the inner controller, the deity presiding over consciousness, entered the heart with reason. At that very moment, the cosmic, the being arose from the universal water. Okay. When a man is sleeping, all his material assets, namely the vital energy, the senses for recording, knowledge, the sense for working, mind and intelligence, cannot arouse him. He can only arouse when the super soul helps him. So, therefore, the devotion, therefore, through devotion and detachment and advancement in spiritual knowledge acquired through concentrated devotional service, one should contemplate that super soul as present in this very body, although simultaneously apart from it. So this is when we come to the third canto, so we will deal with this separately. Just to give, this is what is Brahmaji is explaining in this chapter. I hope I'm not confused you.
Excellent, Prabhu. It was good to understand this.
Yeah, but maybe Prabhu, I'll share this PPT with you. At the end of the chapter, maybe you can run through with the, then it will be very clear.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Good. Sure, sure.
Sorry, some repair work is happening in the building, so there is some noise. My apologies for it.
No, we didn't hear anything, Prabhu. It was perfectly fine.
Okay, okay. I changed the 3 places, during this class. Okay. Okay.
Anybody has any question?
No, Prabhu. Thank you very much for such a good presentation.
Yeah, I will share with you at the end of the chapter. Subal Prabhu will share with you all so that you can keep it as a reference. Otherwise, it is difficult to understand, especially this section which Lord Brahma is explaining. Finally, he himself tells, it's very difficult to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what to speak of me, right? Okay. So then, with your permission, can we, if no questions are there, can
Hare
we
Krishna,
end?
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Prabhu.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमस्ते।
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.